we're having a conversation between two people virtually in the cyberspace, which is fantastic. And apparently they don't need me. You know, they're going to do it by themselves. So I'm going to sit down here, enjoy my water while they'll talk. But let me introduce them. They're here, ready, very good friends, always here, being jury and speakers, etc. We have with us Arthur Debert, founder and CTO of Loggi, and Javier Villamizar, dear friend, operating partner at Softbank. You don't need me, so I'm going to take a rest. The floor is yours, but I'll be back. All yours, Javier.
Thank you. Really happy to be here. And as you said, I feel like I'm part of the family. So being back in this event is really nice after all these 7 months of being in lockdown. So great opportunity to have a quick chat with Arthur, Chief Product Officer and co-founder of Loggi. That is one of Softbank Vision Fund portfolio companies in Latin America. Arthur, let's get back to let's go into business. Let's talk a little bit about you and about Loggi. Tell us a little bit about how you guys are disrupting logistics in Brazil, and kind of what brought you to create Loggi, and you know, over all these years that you have been in business, how you have seen the development of the company.
Hello, Javier and everyone. Thanks for having us. So Loggi started 7 years ago. It was very clear to us how e-commerce and how delivery of consumer goods would be a major change in the Brazilian consumer experience. So what was very clear to us was that most of the logistics company were very traditional in the sense they were operating in a pre-internet world. So they were doing zip code routing. They were not using mobile or maps or AI. So we understood that, you know, there were the convergences of mobility, intelligence, and software and automation could design a network that was very different from everything else we've seen before. So that's how Loggi started. How do you design a logistics operation that has speed above all and that is technology based? So the company started doing only local deliveries through motorbike couriers and things like that. And with time, it was obvious that we had bigger challenges on how to connect the country. So Loggi started from a software-only company to an operation-heavy company as well that's putting together technology with distribution center, urban mini-hubs in order to make delivery that's very timely and ready for the expectations of consumers tomorrow.
And now that obviously e-commerce have received a lot of tailwinds with the pandemic and everybody's sitting at home, you know, shopping, how you guys have been able to cope with this increased demand? Were you ready? Were you prepared? Did something need to happen at the center of the company, with the product of the company, to cope with this increased demand?
Yeah, so that's a very good point. We have seen 3 times growth in the first months of this year. So, of course, the company is happy to be able to assist consumers in this time of need, but it was, of course, difficult. To be honest, I think the thing that really happened is that it accelerated a lot of plans, right? So because the company is already in fast growth mode, we were always doing additional capacity and growth. We just had to fast forward a lot of things. It was also a challenge, of course, to keep, you know, physical operation in the streets in the context of social isolation and so forth. But I think we've done a good job with that, and we had very good results in terms of how the COVID impacted the workforce. No major problems, and we kept operations running safely through these times. Were very challenging, but we are glad to be able to help society at this time. It became very obvious that delivery is actually a basic infrastructure for society right now. So this is the big change.
And that's very important. You just touched on a point that I was going to ask you. because when we made the decision to give you and Fabian capital to grow your business, obviously it was predicated on the fact that we saw the emergence and the growth of e-commerce in the region, but also we saw a company like yours creating positive impact on the cities and the urban life of these locations where you operate. Can you tell us a little bit of that, a little bit of that story on how your employees, your couriers, their life has changed by being associated with Loggi?
Yes, absolutely. So the way I think we like to think about this is that technology gives a layer of liquidity and choice for everyone involved. For small commerces to be sending their goods to some consumer that wouldn't be ordinarily physically there, or to contractors that are doing deliveries in hundreds of cities and now have different ways to make a living and have the flexibility and the choice to do it. So I think when we look at the numbers and we have dozens of thousands of couriers and people doing delivery, their firsthand experience is very positive. We've increased income for a lot of societies, and especially the freedom to choose when to work and how. We also have this program that we're doing kind of like franchisees in smaller towns in Brazil. And it's just wonderful to see how young entrepreneurs in a small town in Brazil are very glad, happy, and satisfied to be able to work with a tech company to bring e-commerce to a small town. And how does that change in effect? I think it's a phase 2 now where we can reach smaller towns and change ordinary folks with technology and good service and transparency. And I think it's been very positive for everyone involved.
Thank you, Arthur. Last question. I'm going to give it to you. We were supposed to have a two-way conversation, so please feel free to ask me any question.
Exactly. So I'd like to ask you a bit about that. So Softbank has been paramount in our growth. It has helped a lot to understand the world, the market, and then, of course, capital. I would like to invert the question. So how did Softbank get to Loggi? How did Loggi fit into Softbank's worldview on tech?
Great question. So as you know, and a lot of people in the audience know, we're looking at the changes that the artificial intelligence revolution is making in the world. And we're looking at companies that are growing very fast and taking advantage of artificial intelligence, data science technology, and they apply it to disrupt traditional industries. So when we look at e-commerce and we look at logistics, it was very clear that in markets like Brazil or any other places in Latin America, maybe some places in Europe, maybe some places in Southeast Asia, last mile logistics was one of the bottlenecks for e-commerce to expand. And we said, it's incredible that the US and the UK and China have these insane amount of volume going to e-commerce. There is no reason that this is not happening in emerging markets. So we look at that. We look at the bottleneck. We look at the reasons that were constraints for the growth, and last mile logistics kind of showed up at the top all the time. We identified you guys as a company that was using, as I said, data science, advanced technology to solve the problem. It was not just throwing more people at it. It was not just trying to incrementally transform the traditional logistics environment. It was really disrupting the industry. And this is where we realized a company like Loggi, with incremental capital, with the support that the entire Softbank family can provide, would be the number one in its field.
Thank you so much to both of you. I am so sorry, but we ran out of time. Javier, you make such good questions that everybody wants to be asked by you. So we couldn't end in a better way. Thank you, Kisses. We hope to see you next year, 2021 here.
Thank you.
To
we'll
both.
be there.
Thank you very much.
We couldn't finish in a higher note with a conversation between these two experts, friends, as well as South Summit, as Javier was saying.